Uh, Chapter 12. On arrival in Sarajevo, I cashed in some euros for Bosnian marks and set off past occasionally gutted buildings to find my digs, which I did eventually after a long walk, meeting a middle-aged couple who took me some of the way and chatted in broken English about how he, a university professor, couldn't afford a car. Many of the buildings had their superstructures pockmarked with gunfire that had poured down from the surrounding hills that enfolded in their valleys the straggling city of Sarajevo, birthplace of an assassination that sparked the First World War, and 10 years previously encircled and besieged by the Serbs, until Bill Clinton sent in NATO planes to break the grip of Milosevic and his men and send them back to Serbia, which they did. But the Serbians left a legacy, an unknown number of landmines that turned the once free and beautiful hills around the city into killing and maiming fields for years after the peace, as well as the many scars in the city where mortars and grenades and shells had rained down onto what was a trapped civilian population for almost 4 years. A city under siege is something medieval to many minds, but here it was happening in southern Europe in the late 90s. Did anybody notice? I found my digs. They were nice people, a middle-aged man and his wife, in a modern apartment block. I then went off to find the cafe where I had a meeting organised with artists in a cafe bar called Sacred Earth. Though not exactly the guest of honour, I was well treated and told many stories about life during the siege, of dodging bullets, the labyrinth of tunnels that connected basements of houses via sewers, and the needless, sad, futile deaths of old women, men and children. I was told of family pets eaten because there was nothing else to eat, about the little boy blown up when somebody booby-trapped the door to the pen that held his goats, and the actor killed by a mortar on his way to perform Shakespeare in a basement. I met a university professor who explained one of her voluntary hobbies as part of the fledgling Bosnian army was to go into the mountains every weekend of the summer, search for landmines, defuse and remove these from the ground. These durable, plastic, undetected devices, impervious to metal detectors, had tiny pressure pads that would generally maim rather than kill. She then packed the diffused mine and its surrounding soil into a cardboard box and tried to sell it in antiques markets. Genocide in Europe hadn't been confined to Hitler and his Nazis some 50 years previously, but in living memory, signposts in the city pointing to places like Mostar, where mass graves held grisly secrets. I never saw any mass graves, thankfully, but imagined them in visions in my head, combined with television images.